does marriage and family complicate career and vocation? How do I plan the next 10 to 20 years, given that somewhere in there I'll probably get married and have a family along the way? Well, you don't plan 10 and 20 years. You have an idea and a vision, but it's not a plan. Nobody can plan more than 2, maybe 5 years. Even though we had you write a 10-year plan, it's a 10-year look. It's not like you know. You make some assumptions, and then when you meet these people, you will reinvent yourself around who they become.
It would be foolish not to plan for it at all.
Yeah.
Just assume you're going to go through all of this. I mean, there's
yourself
certain
in a family if you
biological
want to have one.
imperatives about having families. There's certain times to do it. I'm very glad that we started our family in our 30s because we're only in our 50s and we're just about through that process.
Right.
And I have friends my age who have 3 and 4-year-olds, and I'm thinking, what the heck are you doing?
You're 75, going to back to school night.
Right. Yeah, and it's not fun. So you want to probably put it in your plan, but you can't plan love. You can't plan growing up.
Yeah.
To the level Dave was talking about, which I think is probably a better answer than a hard number like 30. I know some 30-year-olds I wouldn't marry. I wouldn't touch for the 10-foot pole. So
I, for instance, wouldn't marry me for all the money in the world, but you know.
The nice part is I look at all my friends, and every time we go to a party, I come back and I say, "You're the only woman I would marry out of that. I love them all; they're great. You're the only woman I'd marry to my wife, which is wonderful." Career and family will completely change your plans.
Right.
Just accept that. That's a new prototype.
Yeah.
And a very important one. Know that it's going to happen. I also know some people who have decided we will get married. We will not have children.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a decision to make as well.
Yeah. Not everybody does want to do that. Okay.
Experience is a little alien.
If you were 22, where would you choose to live and work?
Yes,
San Francisco or Boston? Or New York? I would have done that. I wanted to do the urban thing. I didn't do it. It was a mistake.
I often tell people we live in the best of all possible places. If this were the Renaissance, you live in Florence,
right, in
the heart of the city, and the Medici sit in Sand Hill Road and give money to people with good ideas.
That's right. They really
and
do.
you don't even have to deal with the Pope. But if I were actually 22 today, and knowing that I had plenty of time to get everything done, I might do that kind of, Paris in the 20s, except Paris isn't Paris anymore. It's Prague or it's somewhere Budapest or something. Yeah. I find a cool, funky old city where you can
Singapore.
Live. Singapore is a little not funky anymore, but yeah, I'd find that place in the world. Vietnam.
It's really becoming something. It's probably in Asia or Eastern Europe.
2 years there doing some kind of crazy job and writing
Beijing,
and reading,
or actually Shanghai.
Yeah. So I might do that because that's an odyssey you can only have in your 20s.
Yeah, I think so. I agree.
Or I'd start my software company in Silicon Valley, make a pile of money, and then go do it. But it may not work.
What was the hardest lesson for you to learn? Why and how are you dealing with it? The hardest lesson for me to learn was taking responsibility for how lazy I am. It took me years to get the work-life balance thing figured out because I kept loving being the marketing guy in startups, which is a huge task, and I'm effective but inefficient. So I worked godless numbers of hours and never saw my kids. Which I really cared about that, and it took me a long time to take responsibility for, first of all, I just tried to be better, and I wasn't good enough. I couldn't get enough work done and still see the kids awake, and finally I had to really structurally change my work. That's why I did consulting. I could do project level work, which was easier to turn down because I frankly wasn't a good enough efficiency, productivity kind of manager to pull off a senior executive role and dad of the year. I knew guys who were, and I thought if they can, I should be able to, and I spent years pretending to be as good at what they were as I can't be. So I was very effective as a project-oriented consultant. I was not brilliantly productive as a corporate executive. Took a long time.
Mine's just a little, comes at it from a different place. I don't know if you've seen the movie Crazy Heart. But I saw that movie and I went home and I cried at the sad parts and everything, and I went home and I thought about it. The central thing in that movie is the hardest thing I've ever had to learn, which is sometimes you do stuff you can't take back.
Oh yeah, okay.
Sometimes you hurt people and just saying you're sorry doesn't
fix it.
Doesn't fix it. Sometimes you disappoint people, or you're not there when you should be.
Right.
Which is the fear about parenting and stuff.
Sure.
And you can know it, and you can recognize it, and you can go back and say, I'm really sorry, but they've moved on.
Yeah, something actually happens.
Yeah, and you just can't fix it. And that was the theme of that movie, and it really hit me because it brought me back to a couple of things I did when I was younger that were a hard lesson to learn. Because I kept thinking, oh, well, I can fix this. You know, I'll just go back and clean it up. And it's like, no, you can't. There are consequences.
And yeah, I mean, there's a question about regret. I mean, if I have a regret, you know, I'm divorced or remarried, as Bill knows. And my first wife, Vicki, and I were married 24 years, and you know, and we're fortunately still good friends. We tried really hard, and we failed. I mean, we did a lot of things. We did parenting well, did community well. We did not do husband and wife well enough to be able to find a way through that. And I then and now firmly believe that was not impossible, that we were not genetically doomed. So I think we blew it. And I think we didn't step up in time. And by the time we started to really take ownership of that, it got to be too late. The inventory of brokenness overwhelmed the repair technology, and you just couldn't get there from here. And that it's too damn bad, you know, and it's on us. And I am sorry. And we didn't have to blow that.
Yeah, I would wish you guys at your age don't accumulate too many scars like that, because it hurts.
It does hurt,
and it doesn't go away.
Yeah. And most of us are. So if there's a hard lesson, okay, if you're too controlling, or you know you're too grumpy, or there's something about you that makes you tough to be with in the world, and you got some work to do, you got some baggage to unload, you got some communication to learn about, do it.
Get to it.
Get to it, because it ain't going to go away. You're not going to find some other person that likes your crap.
No, you're just going to drag a whole bunch of people with you. Your crap.
Two choices with pain are you either transform it or you transmit it. So if you're a transmitter, do something different. Let's drop down to, let's see, how about we get into the 27 to that category.
What do you see in your future? How have you
designed
your life?
I like doing this.
I love doing this.
I love doing this. I want to do more of this.
Okay.
That's what I'm seeing.
We're going to do it. What's been your current favorite chunk of life? Well, that's kind of back to the favorites thing.
Yeah, I do think, I like
this chunk.
I like this chunk a lot. The raising small children part. There's that window of time. I think when my wife and I have a theory that being a small child and raising small children, maybe grandparenting small children will be true too, are some of the sort of cleanest, you know, when you're sort of 6 to 10 years old, if you're sort of healthy and you get a reasonable family, you know, you're not in some squalor, you know, life's kind of cool. And when you're raising small children, you know, you have a lot of responsibility and they're dependent on you, but they're fun enough to play with, you know, they don't poop their pants all the time. I mean, that's pretty sweet. I mean, taking a 5-year-old to Disneyland is about as wonderful an experience as you can have.
It is.
And so I think those are very sweet moments in life. I think those are really sweet chunks. And I kind of miss them.
Yeah, that's probably why grandparenting will be so much fun.
I'm thinking.
I'm just wanting to get them out of the house first.
How about, let's see, what are 10 years? What would your 2 alternative Odyssey plans have been at our age? Well, you mentioned physicist or artist.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, so I'd go to Prague and paint for a year, and you know, work in a Starbucks. I don't know what you do. You work.
Yeah, I would have been hired as a field biologist by Jacques Cousteau and had done a 2-year stint on the Calypso.
Yeah,
that would have been the other.
Absolutely. Stay away from the propeller. It's dangerous.
Diving, being paid to dive with the seals.
Exactly.
That's what I was going to do.
Yeah, or a National Geographic photographer or something. Probably, you know, it's not
big animal behavioral stuff.
It's not a regret, but I wish I'd been a little more adventurous.
Yeah.
I'm a little more adventurous now than I was then.
Right.
Normally it works the other way.
Yeah. Okay.